Hello everybody, welcome back to Sprueverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. Welcome to a brand new build. This one is very special to me. I'm an Irwin Allen nut, and it's been a long time coming. We're going to build the Jupiter 2, the 18-inch from Mobius. Now, there's a lot of you out there going to be rolling your eyes and going, really, Phil? Really? I'm going, really? I don't have this in my collection, and I know there's a lot of you out there who have this in your stash, and you've got a whole bunch of aftermarket parts. You haven't built it, have you? Nope. I know, and I can see all of you out there. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to go get yourself a nice iced tea, a brew, or whatever your favorite beverage is. Go find that kit, pull it down off the shelf, because we're going to build it. That's right. I don't know how long this is going to take. It could take a few weeks. It's definitely going to be part 1, part 2, and maybe even part 3 and 4. But we're going to build it. We're not going to go super uber crazy, but we have got to make some decisions. And I have a feeling this won't be the first Jupiter 2 that I end up building, because just getting the courage and the excitement level to balance out and find the time to fit it in is something that, you know, I as a model maker like to do. I know all of you out there as well. You know, your mojo comes and goes, and sometimes you don't want to build something as big as this, but we're going to build it. Okay, lots to talk about in this first update. So let's dive right in. The actual kit itself, as we know, 18 inches, has been around quite a while. It's been repopped a couple of times. It is readily available. So, you know, go to Colt TV Man. You can find it there. I know you can find it on Amazon or at your local hobby shop. They may very well have one. I know mine does. And those assembly instructions are going to require a hefty read. Make sure you go through everything and you really understand what you're doing, because this is one of those models that is going to require an awful lot of sub-assemblies, and it needs to be put together a certain way. Now, that's just the model itself. Then there's all these aftermarket opportunities. One of the things that Mobius does put out is a plug-and-play lighting kit, and it is plug-and-play. Now, it's not the only way to go. It's the way we're going on this particular build. Here's them zizzes. And if you do end up getting this plug-and-play kit, it is readily available still from, I picked mine up from Pegasus's website. They have them in stock, so there's no issue in getting them there. I know there's a few other places around the country that I did look at that they say they're out of stock, but it is readily available. At least it was as of this recording, which is in late March of 25. Okay, now if you're going to dive into this lighting kit, you're going to have to modify a few parts, which means we're going to have to drill some holes, and those holes are going to be for the fusion core switch, the main power toggle switch, and a power jack. Now what they've done is they've cleverly concealed these in the landing gear wells. Each landing gear has its own switch, and it's clearly marked where they want you to put the circuit boards. It's clearly marked how the stern and the bow are related, and you just have to go through, read it thoroughly, because you are going to have to, as I said, do a few modifications. So we're going to have to look at this and go through this in great detail. Let's dive into some of the aftermarket parts. Now, one of the first things you got to get yourself is some Aztec dummy Jupiter 2 painting masks. Now these are available from Paragraphics. They're also available from Colt TV Man, but they are in association with Paragraphics. So you want this masking set from the great Lou Del Maso. Why do you want this set when you can do it yourself? You absolutely could if you want to. But I don't know why you would, because this masking set is borderlines on genius. And I know a genius when I've met one, and I met one in the great Lou Del Maso. The man is a genius. Okay, so in his masking set, what you get is very clear instructions. You also get this brilliant circle that you don't have to tape and create a circle in the center of the floor. And of course, in the center there is your astrogator. And so this is all done for you. You just lay it down. So all you have to do is paint the whole thing in the first color, and then this gets dropped down over that painted surface and creates that perfect circle for you. Absolutely genius. The other thing you get in the painting masks is you get masks for your windows so that you can mask off your windows and keep them clean. You get masks for all of your doors and all of your wall panels. So you also get masks for your airlock portholes, your outer lock, and your above airlocks if you want to change the color on those. Fantastic. What else do you get, Phil? Glad you asked. You also get, hidden in here, is one of the cleverest things. This is light reflecting tape. And one of the genius things about light reflecting tape is it reflects light. Aha! Why do we want that? Well, because on the various panels that are around the inside of the Jupiter 2's main floor, the panels that face out towards the center, they all face towards the astrogator. In the show, those lit up. Very difficult to do. It can be done, but why would you when you can get some brilliant reflective tape that is going to do a fantastic job at bouncing that light. And when I actually make it dark, you can see the reflective tape is working brilliantly. So it's a great plus to have. So that is your masking set. Now, you may say to yourself, Phil, you're going to say, I've noticed that on your bench, you don't just have one set of these masks, you have two. That is correct. There's a couple of reasons why. The first reason is I like to stimulate the economy, and it certainly does that, and I know it keeps food on the table, so poor Lou in those cold months can actually buy coal for his fireplace. No, actually, it's because sometimes you find yourself needing, I find myself needing to want to make double sure that I've got things covered or something tears or what have you. I just always like to have two. So I've got the painting masks. The next thing I have is from Paragraphics, from Paul. I have a decal set, and of course his great photo etch. And his photo etch is going to do a couple of things. It's going to allow us to detail out the control panels, which is really going to be nice because you can see a little bit of those through the windows. It also gives you details for things like some of the other computers and screens. So it's a really nice thing to have. So I'm glad I have that. The other thing you get is you get a set of decals, which is absolutely awesome. You get decals for the radar screens and even for that moire effect, which is really cool. And of course you get some decals, some extra decals that can go over the other pieces in case the decals with your set, with your model, don't strike your fancy. So that's why you want that set, and it's a really good thing to have because it can help with light blocking as well. So I'm glad we have the photo etch. Now there is another thing. I'm probably most likely going to build this again. And when I do, I will use the great Elliot Brown at Fedoratron's computer panel. He has an aftermarket piece, which we'll probably show you if I can get a hold of one during this series, just to show you what it looks like. But I don't know whether I'm going to incorporate it into this build because of the exigencies of it and the plug and play nature of the Mobius kit. I don't know how much you can actually mess with that, although there's a few things we are going to mess with, I think. One of them is that the lighting kit itself for the control consoles has two greens on the outside, two very bright green lights, and on the center it has a yellow light. Or it could be white, I don't recall, but I think it's yellow. Now those green lights, they are awfully bright, and the question is can we get is there a way for us to actually convert those bright greens to whites? And if we do that, then we can actually add a lot more color to the control surfaces, reds, blues, and greens, and clear, that can actually make that maybe pop a little more. All kinds of crazy things you can do with this. You can motorize your radar screens, all kinds of things. Now, to get a scale version of this, you are going to need this kit. Okay, this is from Steve over at Cult TV Man. It is a 1/35 scale plastic model. It's a new version of the Chariot. It's from Dolan Hobby, part of Cult TV Man's companies. And inside of it, you get three figures. You get a Will Robinson, you get John Robinson, and you also you get Robot. And here is Robot. Here he is, and he comes in clear, which means that if you wanted to, you could actually get a little light in there. And light up his voice box or whatever. I don't think we're going to be doing that. Again, I need to do some research because I just want to make sure that I'm very careful with this plug and play set, this lighting kit, that I don't get myself painted into a corner by messing with the board and the amperage on it. But we're going to do our best. So that is everything here. And the first thing that we have to do, the very first thing we have to do is we're going to have to go through the lighting instructions, and I'm going to read those now very carefully, and then we're going to start making some modifications to the kit, clean up all the parts, get them all washed in soap and water, and start working on preparing for install of the lighting kit, because we have to do that right out of the gate, because we're going to need to drill some holes and make some modifications. So that's what we're going to do first. Thrilled you're with me on this journey. This is going to be a lot of fun. Jupiter 2, come on. If you're an Owen Allen fan at all, this is one you gotta have in your collection, and certainly you need to get it out of a box and have it displayed where it belongs. Okay, wanted to dive in here because sometimes I get a little carried away with myself and I don't remember that I'm actually trying to memorialize the build. And there's parts of this build that I think it's important to memorialize. If you have the lighting kit from Mobius, the first thing they tell you to do is to get it out and plug it in and make sure it works. Well, I've I've taken it out of the box, and I'm working on it now, and I realize it's a rat's nest. Now it comes all in bundle. It comes bundled up like this, but it is a rat's nest. Now, if you are like me, and you are not the greatest when it comes to mechanical inclination, you do have to kind of just sit here and unravel this nest, and just get it to a point where you can actually work with it. And I think that's important. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sort of, I can see here, here's your power adapter. That's one. Here's the main power switch. Everything is well marked. I mean, look at the size of these. It's like I don't even need my glasses. I could read that, which is wonderful. And then the third one is the momentary switch. And this is going to allow the fusion core to work at the various different speeds. So this will go in one of the landing gear wells. Your power goes in one and your main switch goes in the third. That's the way they've designed this wonderful plug and play spaghetti spaghetti mess right here. And I say spaghetti mess lovingly, absolutely lovingly. And I'm seeing here that most of these appear to be they appear to be either 3mm or 5mm top hats. That's what they appear to be. I can see some 3mm here, which I'm sort of just unraveling here, and just making sure that I sort of don't yank something to where I regret it later. But there you go. This is the rat's nest. So I'm gonna continue to unravel this, and then we'll fire it up. Well, following instructions clearly is a critical part of this build, especially if you're going to use the plug and play lighting kit. Now I've plugged mine in, and all the lights are static except for your fusion core and your radar dish at the very top of the ship. And a couple of things. One is I actually, ironically enough, had a bad bulb. The greens on this, as I was talking about earlier, which are very punchy, so punchy you can even see it in broad daylight. Well, there's supposed to be two of these, and one of mine was bad. I've tested it, and it doesn't work. But that's okay, because we're going to go to a warm white anyway. Remember, I was talking about wanting the warm white so that we could so that we could actually go to our various different colored Tamiya clears and add a little more punch to the control surfaces. So that's okay. But this was this was a bad bulb. It just absolutely doesn't work. However, everything else is working beautifully. And so the very sort of pièce de la résistance of this, I should say, pardon the French, is your fusion core. Now this is your momentary switch that's going to turn it on. Step one is when you hit it once, you get this sort of startup mode, and it's just just sort of a slow motion, and then you go into hyperspace if you hit it again, and now you're at full energy. And the nice thing about it is your fusion core is synced to your radar or your sensor dish in the bubble at the top of the saucer. So that all works nicely. Hit the momentary switch one more time, and it starts to slow down. And this is sort of parking mode. And then hit it one more time, and it turns it off. Very nice. It's a very, very nice effect, and it's working quite well. So I'm very happy with that. Lots of fun, and it's fun to be able to put it through its paces, and it's going to look really sharp once it's plugged in. So there it is. Everything is working as it should, and that's a good thing, except, as I said, for my one green light. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave one green, and I'm for now, and I'm going to because I've tested this. I've tested this, and it's a bad bulb. It's a bad bulb. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to convert these to whites, and then we'll take a look at it once it's fired up. And we have our repaired light, which is now white. I'm going to leave the other one green, so that we've actually got three colors now. We've got the center console, which it is. Let's see here. I'm just noticing the light is out here. What is going on? I'll have to look at that. But I like the fact that we've got color contrast here, so that's a good thing. But it's a good job I'm going through this thing, because I'm just playing whack-a-mole with these bulbs. Let's see here. I'm going to see what these are to. I could be... These are blues. Yeah, it looks like I've got a blue light that's not behaving now. So I'll address that. So that's okay. It's all good. It's, you know, it's a good job I've got plenty of bulbs in stock and I can get this going. It's the only one. I think this is the last of it. I'll get this cleaned up and we should be good to move on and start drilling the holes in our base. I'm putting the first hole in for what is the first thing they ask you to modify, which is the landing gear well. Now what's interesting is you don't get a light for each well. You only get a light for the well that I believe has the main power switch in it, but that's the closest one to the front door, so it kind of makes sense. It's kind of how you display it. So they've kind of put the light where you know you're gonna see it. So that sort of makes sense. So I did a pilot hole, and I'm sort of carefully here, ever so carefully, just going through, and with my awl here, I'm just carefully making this hole wider and wider and wider, because you can always make it bigger. You can't make it smaller, and I want it to be perfect. So just got a little bit more to do here, it looks like, and then that should slide in nicely. And then after we've done the landing gear well, it wants us to go onto the floor, and that's so it's one hole for the power plug, and then one hole for the fusion core switch, and we're gonna be making some adjustments to the underneath there, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But that is almost there. It is a bit of a trial and error thing, but that's okay. It's worth it to just to make sure you get it right and it fits correctly. Almost there. Okay, that is just about there. It's interesting because some of the holes are 5 mil, some of the holes are 3 mil, and there you go. That is in, and so that's in perfectly, and that will illuminate that quite nicely. Okay, so that's taken care of that. I'm just gonna clean this up just a little bit, and then when you get little flakes on the end of your, just little burrs that you can't get off, and they don't tend to want to come off with, sometimes they don't want to come off with a little bit of sanding. When they don't, what I like to do is just take a little bit of my Tamiya Thin, and I just rub it around those burls, and it just melts away those flakes and cleans that up just nicely. Okay, so now that's step 1 done, and that takes care of the stairwell. The next thing we're going to do is floor part 3. So let me pull that up. And here Zems is. Here's my floor, and no major issues. I don't see any major issues here yet. So sort of orientating it to the way it's asking me to in the directions, and it wants me to wants me to flip it over, and it wants me to locate these two holes, and those are for the blue LEDs. So these are for the freezer tubes, and then it's going to want me to drill holes for my green, yellow, my green and my yellow lights, and that would be for my console. I'm going to locate these, get these drilled out. Okay. So our 3 mils were pre-drilled for us for some reason only known to the Mobius gods. But the 3 mils were done. The 5 mil top hats, they left you flapping in the wind, and so that's what we've done. We've now installed our top hat locations, and when you sit your console down now, they are perfectly aligned under our consoles. So that is an absolute result. And what we'll most likely do is create some kind of a light box for our console, our main console. Not sure yet until we get there, but our holes are in, so that is a result. The next thing we have to do is we're going to have to, let me set this aside, and we're going to go back to the bottom of the ship here. Now, when I turn this over and show you what we're looking at here, there is it's a detail piece really, and it's right here on all four. You would think I could count, but I can't. There are 3. Okay, so what we have to do is we're going to have to drill these out. Each one of these has to be drilled out, and that's going to accommodate our momentary switch, our main power switch, and our power wall wart adapter. All 3 of those are going to find a home in, and they're well marked, and they're going to find a home in these holes. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to get those drilled out. Start a little pilot hole, and then carefully remove this blister. So that's the next step. What I've done is, per the instructions, I've indicated where the bow is and where the stern is, where circuit board B will sit and where A will sit. I've obviously here I've drilled the first hole, and this is for the power switch, so that's up front. That makes sense. And then to the right is the momentary switch for the fusion core. That makes sense. And then in the rear, this will be for the power jack. That makes perfect sense. So the holes for the switch and the power switch and the momentary switch are identical. The hole that I need to make for the jack is going to be slightly larger, and that will go in the back. But now I know where it sits, I can test for that. So that is the next step. Okay, with the 3 holes drilled for our power switch, momentary, and our wall wart jack completed, I can set this aside now, and I can move on to the next step, which I'm going to do right now. And what we're looking at, if we go to the instructions, is 3 times, so these static discharge tubes, it's base part number 22. And it wants us to remove the locator pin and carefully drill each part to fit over the blue LEDs, which will be inserted through original locator holes for the static discharge tubes in the floor. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to open up this part so that it can receive the blue lights for the freezing tubes. So that's what we'll do now. And then after that, we've got to find and drill a hole in this wall part here, And this wall part is the, they're calling it the red ball compartment, but it's also where the translator sits. And their sort of circuit board screen sits there. So that'll be after we've modified these for our blue LEDs, our 5mm top hats. Or bowler hats. We'll do that right now. And then after that, we're going to go to the ceiling and make sure that we've got our ceiling lights in, and it's showing us where it wants us to drill 6 holes for the white LEDs in the ceiling. And so we'll do that. Then we're going to go on to the upper scanner base. We've got some material we have to remove here to allow the small circuit board, the scanner board, to fit in. We'll do that. And it's showing you here how this is all goes together. And then it shows you exactly where everything is located. The modified static discharge tube and where that's going to go. The Fusion Core circuit board, where that's going to go. And the clear part 94 in flat white to diffuse the Fusion Core lights and to hide details of the Fusion Core circuit board, and that's going to be that clear part there. So we're going to go through these stages right now, but I just wanted to show you where we're heading next. Okay, I've removed the locator pins from the 3 static discharge tube base parts, and here are my 3 blue 3mm, they're 3 mils, and they're going to go into where the locator pin is. So what it's asking me to do is just drill this all the way through so it can accept the pin. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take a drill bit and I'm going to carefully go through here and just make these wide enough for this to kiss up. It shouldn't go all the way through. It's just going to be able to go through the floor and then into this piece, which will be glued down, and this will be for the discharge tubes. And there are 3 of those. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Once I've drilled my holes, I like to just slowly get them to where they need to be as opposed to trying to guess. I like my lights to fit snug, and that's gonna sit in there beautifully. Doesn't take much, but this plastic is relatively soft. It's just time consuming. But once you've got all these lights in, that's most of the work done for you. And you know, for the plug and play part of it, I mean, it's when you go back and you think about what has to happen to the 1350 if you're going to light that, and get all the light and power into a base or wherever you want to put it. It adds another dimension to model making, but that's the fun of it. Okay, I'm very happy with that. I think that's good. So I've got to do 2 more of those. And here is a look at the part completely cleaned up and with the blue light inserted, so you can see what that looks like. And there are 3 of those. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the red 3mm LED that's going to go in the back of this wall. They're calling it the gyro red on my lighting kit, but that's what I'm going to work on next. Okay, so that's the red gyro light now with its hole drilled out. And so now I'm going to move on to the ceiling, and I'm going to put 6 holes in the ceiling as it's called for on these instructions. We're going to go around and put these 6 holes in on that, and then we're going to move on to the scanner base. Okay, I've gone ahead and pulled the ceiling part 85 from the kit, and I've cleaned it up, and I've marked where my 6 holes need to be for these 5mm top hats that are the white ceiling lights. Now these wires are of different lengths, so that clearly indicates that one is going to be the furthest away and the others are going to be closer. Now curiously, the one that is furthest away is 3mm, and the ones that are closer they're 5s. Now they're all bundled under the tag white, so I'm assuming that is not a mistake. That is just the way it is designed. What I don't know yet is exactly which one should be for the 3mm and which ones should be for the 5. So I'm going to see if I can suss that out right now before I commit to drilling holes, because I don't want to obviously drill a hole that's wider for my 5s and my 3 doesn't fit. Now I do have a solution for that. I do have some inserts that I can go ahead and use that will accommodate a 3 going into a 5. It's a little plastic insert that I found on eBay quite a few years ago that I keep in my electric stash. But that is what I'm going to do now. So before I actually commit to drilling these holes, I'm going to assume that I'm going to work on orientation, and then I'm just going to make sure that I understand which one is the furthest one away. I assume it's probably going to be this one. I assume it is. But you know what they say about assumptions. So I'm going to just place this like this, and I'm going to make sure I get these holes correct before I commit to drilling them. So I placed the entire harness into the bottom of the ship just for location purposes and to figure out where everything goes. And I have it correct now. The power switch, the main power switch, is actually to the right of the bow as I'm looking at it, and the fusion core momentary switch is to the left. The power jack sits all the way in the back. Now, my red gyro, I have a yellow wall light. I have white ceiling lights, and that is all to the left in board B. In board A, I have my blue tube lights. I've got a white light here, which I'm not entirely sure where that goes just yet, but it just says, oh, this is the staircase, I see. So this is the staircase. So it's actually going to have to go all the way across, because I believe the staircase is over here, not over here. And then you've got all of your tube lights and your blue wall lights, and they all live over here. So what's over here then is should be if I'm okay, what's over here then is all 3 of my lights for my control panel. So they're going to have to come over here. So I've got, I believe I now should have a green, a white, okay, let's see here now, a white, and here's the other white. That's the, okay, this is for the elevator, so that's not it. I've got my green control panel, And that should be over here then. Here it is. I've got a white. Let's see here, make sure I've got this correct. This is very important. I know this looks a little goofy, but getting this organized so that you understand where all your lights go is critical. Okay, so here it is. It's right here. So this was the green light, which I have made a white light. There it is. So I now have two whites and a green. See here. Make sure I'm correct. Yeah, I have two whites and a green. So I've got a green I replaced, and with a white, and then I had another white. So I would have had two greens and a white. So that is correct. And those will go to my front console, and that is going to live over here. So I just have to be careful that I'm getting the right lights, because my green light is a top hat 5mm, as is the center white. The only one that isn't is the, well, actually that's not true. It should be. I would have made it a white. I would have made it white. So I need to find that. And it should live pretty close by here. Now this may be a yellow that I'm thinking about here. So I may have a yellow, green, and a white. I think that is correct. It's one of the blues that failed on me, and that got replaced. Okay, so I've only done two lights. I've got them now. I've got my yellow center light, which is not terribly bright anymore. It looks like it's dying. I don't know. I mean, it's still got a little punch, but it's not as punchy as the other lights. So that could be an issue. I have to look at that. I may end up replacing that with a new one. I may, because I think I'm losing it. It looks like it's fading on me. So I'm going to check right now to see if I have a yellow light, because I don't like what's going on there. But everything is where it should be. So I'm orientated correctly. My B panel and my A panel are exactly where they need to be. Fusion Core is where it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photo so I do not forget. And then I can go to town, because I now know that my ceiling lights are all 3mm. They're not 5mm. And there should be 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there are. So that's correct. And then there's one light here that I have to figure out, because I've got my freezing tube lights here. Here they are. And curiously, I've got, no, they all appear to be 5s, so that is correct. Okay, so there we go. I am orientated correctly. That was a very important job to do. It's not complicated, except that when you suffer from dyslexia the way I do, it makes it a challenge, but we're okay. We got there. I am correctly orientated, so now I can go ahead and I can work on getting my ceiling holes drilled out, which are going to be for 3mm, not 5mm. So I'm glad I made the effort there to get that done. Okay, I can go ahead and carry on now with getting my ceiling lights in. And here are all 6 of my ceiling white light holes drilled out, as you can see, for the 3mm that are in board. B. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to address the one I skipped, which is the upper scanner base. And I'm going to work on that right now. So for the upper scanner, you get two parts, a top and a bottom. This is the top, and if you weren't lighting it, you can see these little nodules, these little bumps they're supposed to indicate the lights. Now the lighting kit I have, I just measured with my calipers, and in fact where my pencil marks are is where the center of my holes need to be for my two LEDs that are connected to the board. It's a little board that goes up to the scanner base. So what I need to do now is I need to drill those out and hope that I hit exactly where I want to hit. And then we can orientate these. Once this is all together, it can be orientated to where you want it to be. The top of the housing is here, and I've glued that together. And that will sit in here, and of course the clear dome goes on top. But this part doesn't have to drop in just yet, so I'm okay there. I just wanted to memorialize what I was doing. The part that the board comes through goes underneath, and this is going to sit, it's going to come in through here, and it's going to sit flush, and then this part sandwiches it on top like that, and that creates the upper scanner. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to drill these and hope that I get this right. Okay, I'm at a point now where I have everything pre-drilled that I can pre-drill on the lighting kit, and so there's just a few things I just needed to go through, and I've done all of that. So the next thing I'm going to have to do is deal with a couple of things that I've made some decisions on that I wanted to share with you now. So I'm going to start sub-assemblies, and I'm going to get a coat of primer on this. It's going to get washed first, top and bottom. We'll get a coat of primer on it, and on the inside of this, I'm going to paint this insignia white and off-white, so that when I run my cable up to the scanner, the topside scanner, I can use that same paint to make that wire disappear. I am sealing my ship up. But one of the things I am going to do is, and I'm actually kind of excited about it, is I thought about opening up the main door. I thought about it, cutting it open, creating a little hinge here and a slide so that it can slide open, and then you could see more of the inside of the actual ship. But I've decided against it for a couple of reasons. One is it would require me to actually, because this is concaved, and it would I could bend a little piece, but there's too much detail on this. The best thing for me to do, would be to get a second hull, cut that out, preserve the door, and then use that door. But I don't think I'm going to do it. For a bunch of reasons. But what I am going to do is I am going to remove the window here. I'm going to clean that up, and I'm going to make it visible so that you can see into the airlock. And this window here at the side here is also going to allow you to see inside the ship. So what I'm going to do on both of these windows is I'm going to use microscope glass slides, clear glass, not plastic, and I will attach those to the inside. It'll make these ports crystal clear, so you'll really be able to look inside, and I think that will be a really nice addition to this model. So that's what I'm going to do next. Is I'm going to carefully remove this window, and we will we'll be able to see inside, which I think will be a lot of fun. And that is supposed to be clear. It's supposed to be glass anyway. So the next thing I have to do is I've got to get a coat of primer on everything, top and bottom, and my fusion core, because I've got to deal with the landing gears. The stairs are down in this model to display it. You can have them up. There is a takeoff launching ramp from the original Gemini 12 from the pilot that you can actually get. There's a few versions of it. I have a couple of them myself. If you were going to display this with the landing gears up, which is not a terrible idea. It's sort of a fun way to display this model, but that's not how this model is going to get built. Okay, so I wanted to share that with you. I'm going to clean out cut open this window, clean it out, and then I'm going to get a coat of primer on everything, because I've got to start dealing with cleaning up the staircases. They've got to be done next. And here is the door with the window cut open. I'm very happy about that. I'm glad I did it. So it gives us now 3 access points to the model. It's not a tremendous amount of additional visual interest, but enough that when you look inside, you're going to be able to see a few things, especially here. That it's going to allow me now to finish actually the interior wall here and clean that up. So I'm glad I did that. There are 3 identical sprues with the landing legs, and they're going to all need to be cleaned up. So I'm taking everything off the sprues. They're all identical, so there's no issue there about getting lost or confused. But I'm just going to go ahead and clean everything up. I am going to take a look at the landing gear, because I think that not necessarily to cut it, but to add a piece of brass rather than paint over the existing landing gear, just to give it some oomph and give it some sort of a metallic, a really sort of dramatic feel. I might do that. I'll see if I've got anything that's going to be compatible in my brass tube stash. These I do know that I don't know when this particular kit that I'm working on was popped, but it doesn't appear to have some of the issues that I've heard these kits can have in terms of flash. I don't seem to be having that issue, so I'm going to chalk that up to being lucky and having the sprue gods print this one relatively decent one. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's cleanup to do. I mean, you've got all of the various different steps that have where the sprue attachments that need to come off and need to be cleaned up. So there's a little bit, but it's not dramatic. It's nothing. I don't think it's anything drastic. So these should go together relatively well. Everything obviously is going to need a coat of paint, but we'll get everything primed up right away. We've got primer on a first coat of primer on the saucer and the lower part of the saucer. That's drying, and what we'll do is we'll give that a nice wet sand, get that nice and clean, and hit it again. Get another coat of paint on that, primer I should say, just so that we know it's going to take paint well. Now, I don't have to make any decisions right now in terms of what that color is going to be. It's definitely going to be in the Tamiya rattle can world. I think either the mica silver, or I've got a dull aluminum silver, because I understand that the original prop had a flat aluminum. It was a dull coat on it. It was not a high gloss coat. Obviously, under studio lights and other conditions, it started to look a little different. You know, it could look white to some people, could even look brown to others, but it was definitely in the metallics, and it was most likely some kind of a flat aluminum. So we're gonna look at that, but we're gonna do just a light dusting of weathering on the shell anyway, just to give it a traveled through space look. Otherwise, I worry that it could look like a toy, and I don't want it to look like a toy. So I'm going to keep cleaning up my stairs. Then we'll get a coat of paint on everything, and then I can actually attach these, because it's going to be, I'm going to look, but I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge for me to get my airbrush in on the insides of these stairs and have them look decent. So I think I'm going to hit everything with a coat of primer and then put everything together. So yeah, so that's what we're working on right now. Okay, so in the next update, we're going to do all the interior wall sub-assemblies, and we're going to get those masked up and painted. I'll probably have everything primed so that we can look at the painting process, and we'll put down some masks and take a look at how beautiful that result is going to be. We'll also do the final assembly on the legs, the landing gears, because they have to go in before we can do anything else. That will allow us to start working on getting the lighting kit installed, and then everything else is interior details. So it's a lot, but I think we've accomplished a lot in part one, and in part two we'll get even further down the road. Bearing in mind, of course, that when I cut these together, you're looking at 30 minutes to an hour's worth of footage. I'm talking about at least a week to 2 weeks of work with hours of prep. But, you know, that's the fun of it. And you all are part of this incredible universe. We love this hobby. We're all passionate about it. That's why you're here. But I'm encouraging you, if you've got this model, I'll say it again, get it out and build along with us. It's a lot of fun, and you'll be glad you did. So I'm hoping I'm going to guilt at least a few of you into going, all right, Phil, I'll pull it out and start building. I would really appreciate that. They belong on a shelf displayed, not in a box collecting dust. You know how I feel. Hey, if you want to get a hold of me, I am spruverse@gmail.com, and I post most days my In the Weeds progress photos on my Instagram page, which is @Spruverse. Hey, buy me a cup of coffee. That link is on my channel page, and that's for my charitable builds. As always, I wish all of you, please, be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.